Now, if you are a low handicapper looking for a brand new set of irons, these two models should be right at the top of the list for consideration. They are the Ping i230 and the TaylorMade P770. Both are relatively new and both have been proven to be exceptional all-round performers in my testing so far. But the big question is, what are the key differences between the two, and is one better than the other? That's what we're going to try and find out in this video. We're here at the beautiful Prince's Golf Club on the Kent coast, going to give them a really thorough test to see exactly which one might be right for your game. Before we touch on the performance of these irons, worth just touching on a bit about how they're designed, because they are constructed slightly differently. So starting with the P770, you see it looks like a blade, but it's actually a hollow body construction. A lot of technology packed inside here. You've got tungsten weighting to give you better forgiveness and a bit more launch as well. There's even some speed foam air filled into the cavity to dampen the vibrations, give you a better sound and feel. Conversely, Ping i230 is more of a traditional cavity back design. It's covered by this multi-material badge here, and behind the face is a kind of toaster style slot with this activated elastomer, which is saving a lot of weight, which has been redistributed to give you more forgiveness, helped by tungsten toe and tip weights as well. So it's meant to be a very forgiving iron as well. So lots of technology, constructed slightly differently, both going to give you a nice combination of forgiveness and stability in a compact head. But let's give them a bit more of a test here on the golf course, on the driving range. Got some short irons, mid irons, long irons, going to give them a really thorough test. Use some launch monitor data as well to see exactly the similarities and difference in performance, and hopefully guide you into the best model for you. Right, before we hit some shots with these irons, let's just touch on the looks of them, because you can see they do look quite different. The P770, you could argue, has a bit more shelf appeal to it, whereas the Ping i230 is relatively plain, quite simple looking, but some golfers will prefer that. Comes down to a bit of personal preference. In terms of size, the Ping i230 is definitely a little bit more substantial. So if you want to look down on a traditionally lofted iron, both of these irons, 7 irons come in at 33 degrees, so quite traditional in their lofts. But the Ping i230 does inspire a little bit more confidence down behind the ball through size. And it does have that white bottom groove here, which really does help with alignment. So I think if you're looking for more visual aid in your irons in terms of setting the face kind of on your intended start line, I think the Ping i230 does a better job of that. But the P770, with its more compact look, you could argue would appeal to the slightly better player. It's definitely shrunken down a little bit versus the previous model and is significantly smaller than the i230. You'll notice as well, the sole width on the Ping i230 is a lot wider, so you're going to get a bit more forgiveness through the turf. That said, it does have quite a lot more camber to it, so it doesn't play as wide as it looks, but just has a slightly different impact experience, which we'll touch on now. I'm going to hit one shot with each to a flag down there quite a long way away. I don't think we're going to reach today into the wind, but it's more to look at the ball flight, but also the sound and feel of these clubs, because there is a slight difference, I think, into the way these irons sound and feel. So start with the P770. Obviously, we know it's a hollow body construction, so you would think it would have kind of more of a metallic kind of spring to it, and I would say that's definitely the case. Quite a loud kind of thwack to it, but not too harsh or hard. It's still got a hint of softness there, and we can compare that with the Ping i230. I think that has more of a thud to it. I actually marginally prefer the sound and feel of the i230. Just sounds a little bit softer. Has a bit more stability to it. Both are very lively off the face. I don't think you can make a case for one feeling faster than the other, but in terms of the looks, I'd say the P770 edges it, but in terms of that feel of the face, the Ping i230 probably just edges it for me. But let's hit a few more shots and then we'll get onto the all-important performance. Right, so moving on to the all-important performance, I've tested them on the golf course, on the driving range here at Prince's, and indoors on the Foresight Sports GC Quad launch monitor. And I'll flash the data up now. You can click pause, peruse it at your pleasure. But what you'll notice with the data is it was very similar between these two irons, almost identical, to be honest with you. Both giving me really good consistent carry distances, just over that 160 yard mark, spinning around 6,000 RPM. You will notice the P770 did launch a fraction higher and the ball flight was around about a yard higher. But in terms of comparable or tangible differences in performance between both these irons, there was hardly anything in it, which is encouraging. And I think a lot of the influence in terms of choosing between these two irons comes down to looks and also ball flight as well. Obviously, i230 is a little bit larger versus the more compact P770. And hitting shots here into that flag down there on the golf course, there are a couple of things that I noticed. The first being the i230 was a little bit more stable in terms of the ball flight. It didn't seem to curve offline as much as the P770. I didn't quite catch the P770, especially in the long irons, just curved 1 or 2 yards either way versus the Ping i230, which was a bit straighter. So I think you do get a bit more forgiveness out of the Ping i230, but you'd expect that given it is a little bit larger. And actually, that larger size is exaggerated as you move into those long irons. Even though they've slimmed it down versus where we were with i210, it is a little bit of a larger iron versus the P770. And if that's something you need in those long irons to give you a bit more confidence, I think you'll gravitate towards the Ping i230 versus the P770. And the feel is very slightly different as well. I think both of them are lively. Ping just feels a bit softer for me, and I actually prefer the feel of that. So in terms of which club for me personally ticks the most boxes, it is probably the i230. You do get that relatively compact size in a bit more of a user-friendly package, but don't get me wrong, the P770 is an excellent club, and you will save a bit of money if you do opt for the P770. Comes in around about £15 cheaper per club, 165 versus 180 from the Ping. But with the Ping, I think you get a little bit more for your money. You've got the option of power and retrospect with those clubs, so if you want a bit more or less distance, you can do that with the Ping i230, and you're getting a bit more forgiveness thrown in as well. And don't forget, with both these irons, you can combo them with other models in the range. So in the case of the P770, you can maybe combo with the P7MC model, and with the i230, you could combo with the i59 to create a set that gives you the performance where you need it, from long iron all the way through to short iron. But if I was pushed for a winner, it probably would be the Ping i230. This is the one that I think just ticks the most boxes for me. But I'd love to hear from you. Which iron do you like the look of? Which iron are you most excited to try? Do let me know in the comments, and hopefully you found this comparison test useful in terms of choosing one or the other. If you like a really compact iron that's going to give you a lot of performance, I think you're really going to enjoy the P770. But if you want something that's a little bit larger, a bit more user-friendly, the i230 is going to be the one for you. But that's all from me, from Prince's Golf Club. I'll see you next time.